Hi everybody, welcome to your weekly reading with for the collective. That's interesting. Yeah, for the collective with now A Collective of Pixies. Ooh, the way that all came out, I'm kind of getting the message, you guys are the collective of pixies. You're all in this little group. This is creating a collective of pixies. Well, isn't that interesting? See, you never know what's going to happen. As soon as I turn the camera on, boom, there we go. That's an interesting message. We are creating the collective of pixies. I like that. We'll see where this goes. So what I'm doing first is I have, if you've seen before, I do have my singing bowls. I have two now. I have two singing bowls. So I'm going to do the small one, the collective of pixies, the energy of the originators of the collective of pixies, because we're just all kind of part of the little club now, I guess. They want me to use two singing bowls to kind of clear the energy for everybody, and then we're going to talk about what kind of a reading we're doing. So bear with me. I'm not used to extending my arm with this. Bowl is small, so A, it moves around easily when I try to resonate it, and B, it is a little trickier to get it to work. So let's see. Did you like that? Is that good? I love that. I find it just literally like it knocks out any heavy energy. And just, I don't know, like even stress. Like it just like boom, it just knocks it out. The vibration of that. I love it. Okay, so what? I sat down and with the collective of pixies, and I'm waiting, kind of getting an idea of what cards I'm going to be using. And what is the message? So they want to do an actual blind spot reading for the collective, which is funny because I had planned on doing blind spots for each Zodiac for next week. And it's been a while, and I think it's always good to try to do it at least once a month because, our lives are constantly changing and energy is changing around us. So I find a blind spot reading can be really informative to us. And I was a little surprised because it's the first time I think that I've done a reading on Friday, like for the collective, that's been kind of structured, because a blind spot is a little more structured, like we know exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to start with my energy oracle deck. I always do start that with a blind spot or a release and receive reading, and then we are going into the good tarot and the Light Seers Tarot. Now this is where I have a problem with them because they don't like my teeny tiny tarot. Oh, and look at the Two of Cups is at the bottom of the teeny tiny tarot. They want me to use the Unknown Animal Spirit Tarot if I need to clarify. It's like, okay. I just find the teeny tiny tarot is great because I can put so many cards down and still see everything. So anyways, I'm just doing what I'm told. So let's get started. So nice and warm here right now. The past readings I did, I was in a great big hoodie because it was cold. I always find here in the part of Canada that I'm in, sort of central, I guess, to Ontario. Is it central? Eastern? No, central. We kind of just go from cold to hot. We've had a bit of spring, but it goes from cold to hot. All right, a collective of pixies. A collective of pixies. The blind spot. We're talking about a blind spot for everyone here coming to this reading. A blind spot. Wow. Oh my goodness. I want to say what's coming out immediately is something that you're not looking at within. So, interesting, because when I sat down, I was actually prepared to do a release and receive. I was prepared to do a release and receive reading. And I just kept getting this strong, strong message. Blind spot, blind spot. And what kind of came in with that was not so much that I feel like the collective of pixies doesn't want so much to communicate to you about what you need to release and receive. It's one message. And it's funny that this is coming out because this feels like this kind of is some sort of a release here. Releasing this broken heart. Let's see where it goes. What's at the bottom? Wow, the Magician in the mirror. That's a really powerful energy. This is having the ability to really make what you want in your life, to really guide yourself, to really understand the alchemy of like existence, your three-dimensional life, applying your own spiritual practice, your own practice in whatever, however you want to define it, even if it's not like a spiritual practice, it's just a holistic practice about, you know, the betterment of you, because when you are better and you are whole, we can make a collective of pixies, right? We can make that collective. And again, if anyone's coming here and they're not familiar with the collective of pixies, this is a very fun energy. This is an energy that puts, it's very childlike. It's a very childlike energy. And you can see it looking at them. You know, they're having fun in what they're doing. And it kind of reminds me when I see this, when I used to teach art to kids years ago when I had an art studio. And the things we used to do was laugh at the kids because they would go down the hallway. And you know, like an adult will just walk down the hallway. We'll just walk down the hallway. They would always come up with some kind of funky dance, or they would start skipping down the hallway. So we started doing that. It's like, okay, well, this is the way to walk down the hallway. That's kind of that, like it's bringing like fun into whatever it is that you're doing. You know, when you have to go back to things that maybe you haven't been doing, because I feel like the collective of pixies has been preparing us a bit for the things that we were doing prior to the pandemic. How are we going to approach that? How are we going to do it? How are we going to go into it? You know, have a little bit of fun. So the Magician in the mirror is very powerful energy. But you see, you can't, because children for the most part, and hopefully, you know, ones that have had good opportunities and solid foundations and good support networks around them, you know, shouldn't have that broken heart energy. And yes, some of them do, but if we try to think about, you know, the very young stages of life, you know, 3 and 4, where, you know, you're just totally open and honest about, you know, everything in your life, because it really hasn't been broken. Your heart doesn't understand heartbreak. So it kind of feels like this broken heart is something that needs to be cleared to really take on what this is, because it doesn't exist in this energy. It's actually looking past and beyond all of that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling out the tarot cards. I want to get them all out, or this, if I start like pulling them out, it goes, this one I put down, this one I put down. It's going to probably take 2 hours to do this video. Oh gosh. Deck. getting distracted. I'm getting like almost like a visual in my head on how I'm supposed to do this layout. So I'm kind of focusing on that, okay? This is so weird. Well, last week we had like 3 messengers. Right now you have 2 already. Oh my gosh, and a 3 of air. 1, 2, 3. I was told 6. Okay, I need to. So in this one. Oh, look at that. All right. Sun of water, dreams, choices. I will show you everything in a minute, but I'm going to show them to you as kind of like groups. It's interesting that the broken, I will show you one card. One of the cards that came out is the 3 of air, which is like the 3 of swords, which is like the broken heart card in the tarot. That's interesting that that came out. Magician came out too. Oh my gosh, the cards are dying to come out. Now I'm supposed to do it like this. Now I know I had to have the other deck. I need one more. Temperance is at the bottom. Patience, balance. Oh, and look at that. Look at how these 2 energies are mirroring each other. Right? They're both balancing yin and yang, hot and cold, dark and light. Right, so now we're going to this one. Now I understand. I am going to be allowed to use my teeny tiny tarot. I had to line up. It's like a reverse pyramid here that I'm creating on the table. The Mother, Queen of Swords is on the bottom. All right. The 2 cards on either end, what came out first, I'm going to show you. So the 3 of Earth is at the beginning of the first spread, and the Star is at the second. And it feels like it's funny. It reminds me a bit of the Capricorn. Was it Capricorn? Oh, I can't remember whose reading it was now. It was Buddha, the 10 of Cups. Maybe it was Sagittarius or Scorpio. I can't remember. Buddha with the 10 of Cups, and then the Strength card on the other side. And these 2 energies were kind of pushing in the reading, like they were holding it together. And it was a journey of happiness through strength. It's not the same message, but it's the same energy, and that these 2 are kind of pushing in. So this 3 of Earth to me is looking for something, looking out for something, and then the Star, which is like, you know, wish for, it's not so much wish fulfillment. The Sun is more wish fulfillment, but the Star is coming into an energy that I would very much describe as the process of this, where you're really coming into a balance between your dark and your light, your heaviness and your high vibration. And it's funny the singing bowls were part of this reading at the beginning, because it's like it's clearing an energy, and this broken heart is clearing an energy here, looking out for something. So what comes in after the 3 of Earth, and these 2 energies are looking right at each other. The Messenger of Water and the Messenger of Air. I wanted to get them in the right order. This is fascinating. This is like the truth between your heart and your mind with water and air. This is like communication between your heart and your mind. Ah, you see, this is what's going on. Okay, it's coming in clear. Glad we did the singing bowls. So the connection between your heart and your mind is vital in terms of being very well balanced and being able to move through life without situations and circumstances affecting how you feel, because truly we should be the only people in control of how we feel. And it can take a while to really start to understand that as outward circumstances and situations that we can't control, because our life is always going to be that. We're never going to have full control over the planet and everybody on it. I know some people want to have that, but you can't. And the rest of us aren't going to let you, because we all have free will too. So it's this, it's like this thread of energy that I see, this thread of energy. This is between your heart and your mind. And I always remember, like when I was pregnant, I was watching, you know, in detail each week what was going on, like in the fetal process. And I remember distinctly, and I don't remember what week it was, where there was a heartbeat. There was no brain yet. There was a heartbeat. And I always thought that that was really significant, because the heart is really the first thing that's functioning beyond our mind. This is what we should listen to. This is the leader. This is what's almost, I feel, this is what communicates to the mind. But if it's broken, if there's something sitting inside it that's broken, it can't properly communicate. Or the communication thread, what the information that's coming through is tainted. It's tainted from some sort of past experiences. This messenger of water and air coming in, what you're looking for, again, is inside you. You're looking out, but it's inside you. And look how she holds this big chalice of water. Holding it close. What we were talking about last week, wasn't it? Weren't we? So many readings now. I think it was the Collective Pixies. About the Ace of Cups is in you. That's the only cup you should be looking for. So then the next, the Five of Fire and the Three of Air, coming in after those two messengers. The Five of Fire or Wands is usually, you know, it could be about competing for something. Communication can be difficult. There's just a struggle. There's some sort of struggle there. And the Three of Swords is heartbreak. What's interesting with this Five of Fire is there's all these beautiful little butterflies fluttering around her, and there's all these flowers of light above her head. But it's kind of like she doesn't see it. And when I see butterflies, I think of, you know, new beginnings, a new time in your life. They're kind of like trying to lead you, but being stuck, not so much stuck in the Three of Air, but needing to release energy that's sitting heavy inside of you. And it feels like you're really on your way. I'm really feeling like this reading is kind of a confirmation for what you guys are doing, like for yourselves and how you're living your lives. And exploring yourselves right now, because this Three of Air is moving right to the star. That's a pretty big leap. That's a huge leap. And that's part of the message too, is not to believe that you can't do that. Not to believe that you can't go. Getting the message not to believe that you can't go from the Five of Cups to the Ten of Cups. Like from some sort of big disappointment to happiness. Big leaps can always be made here. And it's what you tell yourself, right? If your mind is telling you, because it works both ways. If your mind is telling you things that are negative, or this is the impossible, that energy is getting fed back into your heart, and that's going to close you off. It's going to close off an aspect of your manifestation for sure. Yeah, right? Because this is at the bottom. All of these dreams, every one of them is possible, and don't let anyone tell you they're not. The only one who can convince you that it's not possible is you, because your mind, and this is part of it. I think for some of us, the mind, yes, the mind is controlling the heart, where it should be the other way around, because the messenger of water is what is trying to come in first here. As the cards are laying down, what you're looking for should be what your heart is telling your mind. There's something coming back to me on that now. I remember talking about this in a video like a long time ago. It was before the pandemic. And one of my friends, her husband is always like reading sort of interesting and philosophical stories. Yeah, I guess they're just well, I don't know if some of them are published. And it might have been because it's been proven. It's been scientifically proven that there are some sort of cells, if I try to remember now, in the heart that are exactly the same as the cells in the mind. So the heart actually does think. It does communicate to you. So there is, like, you know, I envision this thread between the heart and the mind, and that thread really exists through the whole torso up to the top of the head in these energy centers or your chakras. But these 2 points are very important. And it's interesting because the magician in the mirror is holding what looks like fire, and then the other one looks like air, or it's like cool, hot and cold. So the heart is associated with like warm, loving feelings. And even when the heart is broken and in pain, it hurts, like it's burning almost, right? Like it's burning, it's heavy, it's achy. And then the air of the mind, the clear thinking, that balance. And we're seeing again in temperance. This is really coming in very, very strong here about this balance, this balance. This is the balance that we should be achieving or trying to achieve, or at least be aware of, you know, because if you go forward in something, I need to achieve this, I need to, Cindy said that the Collective of Pixies says I need to balance this. That puts too much pressure on you. You can't do that. Just to kind of be aware when you're feeling something, if you're feeling anxious or you're feeling worried or you're feeling let down or you're feeling disappointed, what's you know, what is really driving that? Is it coming from in here, or is it coming from a lot of thoughts? Trust me, now I'm Aries Gemini. It's like the mind, yeah, calm down. Which is why I think I like the singing bowls. It does definitely simmer that down. So what's sitting underneath those? This is like a pyramid of information here. And it's funny because when I was putting the layout, I thought, okay, whenever I've done a layout like this, and it's been a while, usually these cards are representing or clarifying the cards above them, but it's not. It's like each line is a little story here. So here we have the Magician and the King of Cups. We're getting into that heart ending. I love this King of Cups. He's got his finger around the singing bowl. Yeah, he's my kind of dude. That's awesome. He's sitting there. And look at the Magician. Is playing in this pool of water. It's like opening a portal. But you see, the portal is inside you. And even the singing bowl in a way is a portal. It's this round shape that energy moves through, right? Vibration moves through. The energy that I put into the bowl moves around and it resonates. That's a little bit like what this Magician is doing in this King of Cups. The Magician in both situations is using both hands though. Isn't that neat? There's something there on that. I have to pick that up. Both Magicians are using both hands, right? Why? I don't know. You guys are all chatting amongst yourselves. I know because this is a premiere. It's not live, right? Like, I know sometimes people come in and go, oh my God, I found you live. It's not live. I record this the day before and then I put it up as a premiere. A, so you guys can watch it the full time without any advertising. And B, so that you can chit chat with each other because it's kind of fun and you make like little relationships with each other. And I always find it entertaining to go see it too, to entertain myself. I'm going to come back to that one. There's something about using both hands, and I'm not sure. We'll just leave it. If I try too hard, it's not going to come in. So then we have the Seven of Swords and the Five of Wands. Look at this. It's like this person is racing away from something in the past and racing towards the struggle, right? And it's kind of funny because both these cards, the way this is laid out, are sitting underneath this Five of Fire. Five of Wands, Five of Fire is sort of the same thing. There's a different piece of artwork, so the message is a little bit different. Oh, I never saw that before. There's a sailboat back there. I never saw that before. Something is sailing in. He's calling something in. You're calling something in. Okay, you're calling something in. This King of Cups is calling something in. The ship is coming in. The ship's sitting behind him like that. My attention was never drawn to that ship before. Always like to him and the singing bowl. But there's something really significant about that ship coming in. I know like a sort of a repeat message that's been in these Friday readings quite a bit is, you know, how you perceive your world is what you're creating your world to be. Ah, now I see. So how you perceive your world is what you're creating your world to be. Ah, the two hands. What's that, that saying? The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Or, you know, you could be doing something with your right hand, but your left hand is doing something else. Which to me is sort of like you may be doing something because you think it's, you're convincing yourself possibly that it's the best interest of this. However, you're right, the right hand gives to and steals something. You know what, I can't get it in right now. I get so into these. I can't get that stuff in, and it's crazy. I think you know what I'm saying, though. It's important that you know what both hands are doing at any given time. It's important that you know what both aspects are doing at any given time here. It's not so, that's it. It's not so important that you are strongly focusing on what is my mind communicating to my heart? What is my heart communicating? Like that, because that's too much. It's always about feeling. Like, does this feel right? Does this feel like I'm doing something for the good of me and for someone else? Because you're calling something in. Yeah, so the message I'm getting is not, if you're doing something for the good of you, but it's detrimental to someone else, it's not so much that it's going to affect them badly, but it's going to affect you badly down the road. And that makes sense because energy always comes back. It's like a boomerang. Yeah, I'm going to hold these three up together. These three are communicating. So the Seven of Swords, the Five of Wands, and the Ten of Swords, I believe that is. Yes, the Ten of Swords. These are the last three in the spread of this deck. Yeah, because these guys are reaching for fire. This is all about, like, air and heart to me. Like, I'm really getting that strongly here. See, it kind of feels like with these two, you're fighting for something. You're trying to fight through something where, in fact, the victory for you is the release. And that's what the Ten of Swords is. It's the release. It's letting it go. No, this guy is stealing feathers from these crows. Now that we look at it closely, he's got, in his bag, he's got some of these crow's feathers and he's carrying like a dagger. So he's been doing something to get these feathers. And then, yeah, and these are all struggling and fighting against something. But what are they fighting for? They're just going to burn themselves, right? Like, it's the approach. Because the journey is probably just as important as the destination. You know, how you get there. The end doesn't justify the means, right? Because your means pretty much create your end. And isn't that true? You know, when we see how often someone may have good intentions, but at all costs to get to what that is, can really change what that is that you're trying to get to. When in fact, you just need to release. You just need to release things. Which is also about being open and honest with yourself and then open and honest with others. And then you'll find as soon as you do that, any hesitance, any heavy energy that was sitting inside you is like magically released. Because you don't need to fly like a crow to be a crow. And why is he stealing these, right? Like, you think about a little kid, he used to pick up feathers. Did you guys do this? You would find feathers, just like, I'm gonna fly like a bird, right? You can't do that. And this person's almost taken it to an extreme where he's stealing the feathers from these birds and they're calling him out on it. Where the most beautiful thing to see is really to see them flying. And in that experience itself, it's like you are flying with them. You are part of the release. They want to guide you as well. I'm getting that. They want to guide you. Like the universe wants to guide you. The Collective of Pixies wants to guide you. They want you to join this experience with them. But if one hand is stealing so the other can give, it's not, there's no balance here. At the bottom, these are interesting. So we have the Eight of Cups, the Four of Cups, and the Lovers. It's an interesting Eight of Cups because there's a lot of broken cups there. It's kind of like how you exit the past. Again, how you exit the past here. It's probably good to leave some of your cups whole, even though they don't seem to serve you right now. You know, that stuff that you feel like I need to walk away from, I need to get rid of that, I need to move myself away from that situation or that group of people or whatever it is. You know, it's a bit like that burning a bridge energy. You know, they say you shouldn't burn a bridge because you just don't know where life is going to lead in a few more years. But yeah, with these smashed cups, because usually the Eight of Cups, the cups are all like sitting really nice in a row and the person is walking off into the mountains to go on this journey of self, to really see what serves them, to really reflect, but do that in a way that they don't have the distractions of all these cups, all these different things that they feel responsible for. Things that have to do with your feelings and your emotions, because a lot of things that we engage in throughout life are linked to our feelings and emotions. Even if it's co-workers, if it's friends, if it's relatives, if it's the dog, if it's the lawn, if it's the garden. Like, we're constantly in our feelings and emotions. That's the kind of beings that we are. So to really understand your own feelings and emotions, often we need to separate ourselves from things that may be influencing that. And that's what the Eight of Cups can be. Now, I find this interesting that these cups are broken because they're pretty much impossible to ever fill up again. And this sweet little ratty, I love the rat. I was born the year of the rat. The rat's a really tenacious survivor. This rat is on these 4 cups. This rat knows, you know what? Don't break them now. You can walk away from them, because when you come back on your journey, even when you come back on your journey and you don't go to those cups, maybe in 4 or 5 years, those cups are worth investigating again, because whatever those cups represented will have changed and transformed, and so will you. But if they're broken, there can be no change and transformation here for you to go back to any cups from the past. And that's leaving you with choices. The Lovers is all about making choices. Choices in partnerships here, right? Sometimes we feel we need to completely disengage ourselves from others, and at times we may need to. You may need to, because that's what the Eight of Cups is. But how do we do that? Do we completely burn that bridge? Do we completely break those cups? It's almost like there's a whole bunch of little strings connecting the heart and the mind. And if we break, that's almost like breaking these little strings. That connection can never be reestablished, even if there's been some sort of improvement. It's like coming up with an example, even if it's like a parent or someone who was maybe very narcissistic or controlling, and they've gone through some sort of transformation, and so have you. But if you've broken those cups, you can never go back, even if it's 20 years later. Also, oh, that's interesting. Hey, the message, the magician can make anything whole again. But the magician can make anything whole again. But it does take more work. It does take more work and more energy and more resources to make anything whole again. All right, so that is like a very... Look at this. I love this split. The Two of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Talk about feelings and emotions. I'm going to start clarifying some individual cards here. I want to clarify right smack in the middle of these two lovelies. Messenger of Water and Messenger of Air. I kind of feel like when I pull out a message like that, as I just did, it is general, and then doing the clarifiers will give some of you more personal clarification that could actually be like specific for your life. So the Messenger of Water and the Messenger of Air flipped really fast, and oh, that's funny, the Knight of Swords. Oh, and the Five of Pentacles. Wow. And look at these two energies are moving towards each other. Well, the Messenger of Air is pretty much like the Knight of Swords. That's what that would be. Now, the Five of Pentacles, interesting now. You know, even though it's a pentacle, what is the energy that you get from this card? These two people are put out in the cold. You know, they're not part of whatever this was anymore. They're feeling a little bit abandoned or lost. And that has a lot to do with our feelings, even though the Five of Pentacles is physical in our lives. It'll be something that you've been physically put out of, or something that you feel you really need to leave physically, because there's an emotion playing here. Understanding too. Understanding that even when you leave, it's still important that you come back to talk about your truth. It's still important that you don't leave words unspoken with this Knight of Swords. And again, this is part of the broken heart. It's still important that you don't leave words unspoken. The Five of Fire. The Page of Wands, or the Knave of Wands. Ah, see? Because the Five of Fire is often about, like, you know, there's always a whole bunch of wands in it. This one doesn't have that right now. But it is having all these wands and none of them are being used properly. You know, maybe having too many... Thinking about doing something in too many different ways that you just never get it hatched out. And in here, there's just the one wand. And that's usually about a message. A clear message. An open message. Not something that you're fighting to get through. A clear message, an open message. Because, and that would be coming from here. The desire that burns through your heart. So I see your heart as having, there's a few. The two that I identify most readily with the heart in terms of the energy that sits in there is yes, feelings, emotions, and passion and desire. I feel like all of that kind of comes in this area. The Three of Air, let's get it. It's here. It's kind of here twice in a way, right? The first card that came out was the Broken Heart. The Three of Air. The Three of Air. Oh, that's a lot of cards. Before I look at them, I'm still looking at this picture. You know, what I see with this card, here I'll show you, take a good look, and I'm going to explain what I'm seeing there. See these two birds up in the branch, and then there's one bird on the wing of this person. It kind of feels, this card feels a little bit like the Four of Cups, where, you know, someone could be so sad about something that they feel like was disappointing or it didn't work out, that they're not seeing something else is being offered to them, or they're not seeing the potential for something else, where this Three of Swords feels like that, because it's kind of like, you know, okay, let's say these two up here are a pair, and then this one here though is calling to her, but she's not. It's almost like she's just like, I don't want to see other people's happiness because I'm in my own sadness now. Which is fine. That's still part of our healing process, absolutely. But yeah, don't almost like don't shut yourself out too long. So what do we have here? We have the King of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, the Emperor, and the Page of Cups. It's interesting. So now we have the Page of Wands and Cups that have come out. There we go. We got them all in there. So this Three of Air, you see, when we're cutting out possibilities, you can look at this two ways. Cutting out possibilities, cutting out options, or being very, very clear about what possibilities and options you want in your life or your situation. And then with this Emperor and this Knave or Page of Cups, and that's when you really have control in your life. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Ooh, wow, that's a reversal in any way I've ever had tarot come in. So this Emperor, it looks like this Knave or Page of Cups is offering the Emperor a cup. The Emperor will take it, I'm getting the Emperor will take it. Now typically when you're reading tarot and something like this would come together, you would say like, who offered, like this person is just, this is a very immature energy. This is a very underdeveloped energy compared to something like the Emperor, which is very experienced. I'm getting the message. It takes a lot of balls for this energy to walk up to the Emperor and offer something. And the Emperor admires that. Isn't that funny? Because typically to have an energy that would be compatible with the Emperor, that would be you know, on the same level of the Emperor, would be the Empress. And it's, you know, interesting because we are talking about this collective of pixies. This is who's coming in. This is who's giving us. This is the energy of this reading. And that is about this childlike innocence. And I don't know, I'm trying to come in with some sort of like a fairy tale or a children's story about, you know, the child making the offer, like the child coming in, because that's what the page is like. It's very young, very innocent. But because of that, it's like this Emperor understands that this is real, that this is a true offer. Because it's not influenced by this energy yet. It's just open in itself, saying, hey, Emperor, I love you, I like you, I want to just tell you. It's like, wow, okay. A true Emperor would see that. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. All that came in on a 3 of air there. That's an interesting way to look at that. You know, because a lot of tarot readers would say, oh, it's just a Page of Cups coming towards like the King of Wands. What? This person's just a page. But if they're just a page, they are youthful. They are, you know, their actions are not controlled by overthinking. It is really just what's coming from within them. That overthinking. So let's go into this Star card. You know, like this is how we get from the 3 of Swords to the Star. And I think part of that is this Emperor energy with the Page of Chalices, the Knave of Chalices, the Page of Cups. Because this energy, also, you could also say, well, yeah, you know what, they just haven't, they do that a few more times and get rejected and have your heart broken and then see what, but you see, but that's the thing, like, if you can go through those experiences, but still keep this, right? And not become jaded or just down on life or the possibilities. Just think of all the things that you discover in your youthful energy, in your childlike energy, all the things that you've discovered at that stage of your life. Because the world is endless. It's limitless, like on all the stuff that exists in the world, but we just start to, you know, maybe we're afraid to put up our hand and ask that question because, oh, someone's going to laugh and think, you know, you should have known that, right? You know, like, there should never, ever be a bad question. And even asking a question that, yeah, maybe everyone else knows the answer, but sometimes even just explaining the answer to the question can bring up more questions. Questions that people didn't have answers for. So there should never really be that. And I get this with this Knave, this Page. It's just like, I don't know. Just see, what's going on? What's going to happen? So the Star. The Star. Again, so many. What's this? We have 2 sets of 3 here. Like I'm doing grade 4 math. 2 sets of 3. Okay. All right. Here we have the 10 of Cups, the 2 of Wands, and the 3 of Cups. It's interesting that it appears in sort of a reversed order. 10, 2, 3, or a mixed up order. You see, what you define as happiness, can influence what you're looking for. How you define happiness will influence what you're looking for. When really, what any of us should really be looking for is just happiness. It's just celebrating life is really what we should be looking for without putting parameters on it. That's what it is. That's how you get from the 3 of Swords to the Star. When you define what happiness is, it puts a very strict parameter about what you're looking for, what you're going to find. Well, really, it should just be the joy and celebration, the joy in celebrating life. That's how you get to 3 of Swords to the Star. And the Star, to be clear, is that balanced energy. To me, it is, I read the Star as being in such a balanced energy that you can manifest beyond the ability of the magician. You can manifest into the Sun energy, which is wish fulfillment, which is happiness and clarity. It is like the pot at the end of the rainbow, where the Star is, well, you can't get there without making the wish. And you can't wish for something spectacular unless you're in the right energy to do it. So then we have this Ace of Cups, the Eight of Cups, and then the Six of Swords. I like this because the Six of Swords is going back to this Eight of Cups. And it reminds me again what we talked about in terms of how we exit things. And two, it's exiting something. If something doesn't work out with someone else, if something doesn't work out at a place of work or a relationship, anything in your life that has something to do with feelings for you, if it didn't work out, to really leave it in a healthy way so that the cups aren't broken is actually understanding that sometimes what resonates for you doesn't resonate for someone else. Sometimes what your path isn't the path for someone else. And it doesn't make theirs wrong. It just makes it different from yours. So if you break the cups, you're like, I'm out of here, no. Then if you break the cups, you can't. Well, I've already said it before, you can't go back. But I like this because the Ace of Cups leads into more exploration. So every new opportunity, everything that has a beginning is going to have an end in some shape, way, or form, right? Whether that end is something that you choose, whether it's something you don't. And when I say you don't, like another person makes a choice to end something, or you're working somewhere and you think this is the best job ever, I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life, and then you get fired in 3 years, right? So things will end whether we want them to or not. And then we all got to die at some point. It's pretty inevitable. So things do end. But for every beginning to know that there's an end, and how do we take that ending? How do we take that ending? Because that's what affects us, is how we take that ending. It's funny, the Ten of Swords just kind of creeped out on its own, like sitting there by itself. So I think it wants me to clarify it. The Ten of Swords. The Five of Wands and the Empress. The Five of Wands again. This is 3 times now. Whew. I need a drink of water. Let's drink water. Oh, Lily's here. Lily's here. She doesn't lay on her bed. Now she lays beside her bed. That's funny. So we have the Empress and the Five of Wands for this Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is, like learning how to release it. Just let it go. Just let it go. Interesting. You know how I was talking about the Emperor with this sweet little cup coming towards him, this innocent cup coming towards the Emperor. Someone who is not on the level of the Emperor. But they're just like, I don't know any different, I just want you to know how I feel. And the Emperor's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Nobody's been so honest before. And then the Empress, because she's sort of the counterpart of the Emperor, there's all this fighting behind her. She's not even paying attention to it, right? She's not even paying attention to it because she's looking forward. She's manifesting. She's creating. That's what the Empress does. She creates. And regardless of what's going on in the background, regardless of what's happening in your life or around you or the people that are around you, is to maintain this Empress energy, is to always look forward, is to always see where you're going, right? That's more important because this person wanted to try to follow how the crows did. He's stealing the crow's feathers. He's going to try to fly. He's going to, I don't know. He thinks by having crow feathers, he can fly. When in reality, really being able to fly is watching others succeed and to go and seeing the beauty in that, right? It is. I mean, who of us hasn't watched birds fly by and is like, God, I wish I could do that. That would be so great. Oh, there goes a couple now, like off of a roof. Just like, off they go. So amazing, right? But we can't do it, but we can still, it can uplift us seeing others. And that's the focus here. And it is important too, to not focus on what's going on behind you if it is that kind of energy, this Five of Wands. So maybe some of you are dealing with that because that's out 3 times now, that Five of Wands. That you're dealing with other people in your lives that are really struggling. And this is kind of, you know, some help here to stay on your path. You don't need to like break all the cups and tell these people, get out of here, I'm done with you, that's it. You just need to listen to everything because I gotta go back and watch this. It feels like it's so much information. It's like, oh my God, I have to go back and watch this. And I often do, I'll watch them. Someone said that in some of the comments are funny, like, Cindy, I got a message, you need to watch your reading. I do watch them. I do watch them. And then I get sick of hearing myself and I go watch someone else. Or I'll go outside. So, what do we have here? The Magician and the King of Cups. These two are intriguing me. Actually, what intrigues me the most is this King of Cups dude. I love this dude. He's great. And I like this ship coming in behind him. Let's get some information about this. Wow! Look at that! Oh, and look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so the King of Cups, the ship. How do I hold this so I'm not hiding the ship? The ship that's coming in is the Queen of Cups with the Six of Pentacles. So it's a counterpart. It's counterpart energy. It's what's meant for you, and it brings so much balance where maybe you didn't have balance in the past. That's hilarious. What ship is the King of Cups calling in? Oh, the Queen of Cups. That's funny. That's really, you can't make that stuff up. That's why I like to shuffle on the camera. So there you go. That's the ship that's coming in. So what serves you? Like, if you're not, you know, because this reading is not just about like a romantic counterpart, and broken heart doesn't even have to do with it. There's so many other things in our lives that can break our hearts. My gosh. So it is something that is meant for you. It is something that gives you balance with this King of Cups calling in the Queen of Cups with the Six of Pentacles. It gives you balance. And in that balance, it balances your emotions and your feelings. And then you feel that three-dimensionally with Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles, like, it's also having enough to go around. Eight of Cups. Let's definitely clarify that. The Eight of this broken Eight of Cups here. Oh, the Hermit. Ah. See, isn't that interesting? Because the Hermit is a lot like the Eight of Cups energy. Now, what's really cool about the Hermit, though, the Hermit is learning to guide themselves with their own light, right? Like, and getting rid of like all the complications in life. The Hermit has nothing except this robe and cane or walking stick and lantern. So it's learning to guide yourself. It's learning to trust your path, the path that you feel called to do. And in doing that, though, it's very gentle. Like, this is a very gentle energy. It's a very humble. I mean, he has sandals, a very plain robe, a walking stick, and a lantern. That's all you carry. So you don't need to break things from the past to move forward into the future with a clean slate. The Four of Cups. See the rat. I love the rat. Oh, this is the year of the rat, too. I think I said that. I think I saw that somewhere. I was born the year of the rat, and it is the year of the rat again. See? It's a good year. Trust me. I don't know. It's gonna be good. Look at that. See? Another page. That's 3. What do they call them? Knaves. Page. And the Page of Pentacles with this Four of Cups with the rat. Being a student of life, being that student of life, no matter how much you know, always realizing that there's more to know. And you know what? This is the thing I find interesting, is a lot of times we kind of feel like, and I don't know if we develop that as teenagers, because you know teenagers, they know it all. You guys know, you know everything. They know everything. You can't, I know everything. It's like, oh, I have no idea. And I think, I don't know if like we kind of develop that, like something hormonally shifts our brains, and then we take on this belief system that always those that are older and more experienced know more. And yes, in many different ways, but it's important not to lose sight of what it is to be. I want to hold up these 3 so far, these pages. Because that's the energy that got every single one of you from the walking stage, from the crawling stage to the walking stage, from the blah 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 blah, blah to say mama and dada. Like that's that energy. And it fades, because when you think about the energy that exists, I mean, I talked about it early on, and I don't remember why now. Oh, the heartbeat was the first thing that was going before there was even brain activity. I had read once that the cell division that takes place early on, like even like the whole growth of the fetus, it's almost like these two cells come together, and it's almost like nuclear, the energy that comes in, because the cells just divide. And I had read somewhere, like if we all continued to grow at the rate that we do when like we're conceived and we're growing and developing, we would be the size of the earth like by like 2 years old or something. Like, it is phenomenal. And it slows, right? We go through these stages where we slow. So that the key is here, yes, physically we change and we transform, and we lose that energetic growth physically. But you know what? The only person who can stop you from having that inside is you. Yeah, this is very youthful. I like these pixies. Okay, what about the lovers? Let's clarify the lovers. That's interesting. So yeah, we're clarifying, sorry, the lovers, which is then about having choices. Having all your choices and all your options. The Death card, Scorpio energy, and the Ace of Pentacles. Oh, and look how, you know, when I lay these down, all the energy is moving forward. Everyone is facing the same direction here. Going into endings and rebirth without hesitation, knowing that it brings new beginnings, new solid beginnings. Oh, and the bottom. The bottom is the Wheel of Fortune. Destiny. Making your own destiny. Changing the karmic cycle for yourself. Get out of town. Who's sitting underneath the wheel? But the Page of Swords. The last one. There he is. Right? I'm going to watch. I'm going to learn. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask. Yeah. That's funny. Every page. And last week it was all the messengers but one, but then it felt like the King of Fire was acting as the fire messenger. So here again, and pages are about messages. Communication. That's fascinating. A fascinating reading. I'm gonna pull anything else out. I don't know, I'm getting kind of tired. Does that make sense, guys? Do you like that? That was interesting. That was an interesting reading. Yeah, I'm going to pull out, I haven't from this deck in a while. Ooh, I'm going to knock stuff over. Oh dear. Oh my gosh. From, I can't remember what this deck is called. These are great. And they've got like big messages on the back here. I'm going to give me a second to shuffle it. If you're in the premiere, talks amongst yourselves. If you're not in the premiere, you can go to the live chat and watch what I'm talking about. Get you guys a final message from this. This is like colorful, like, you know, like fun children's art. Lots of primary colors. This deck is a big deck. A final message to everyone from the Collective of Pixies. And do one more. Oh, there it goes. Angel. Confirmation, trust, higher purpose. The affirmation for this card is, I am sheltered within the wings of angels. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, and look at this ship. Let me stand up. Look at the ship. Remember, what is the King of Wands or the King of Cups pulling in but a ship? And look at the angel is protecting what is meant for you. How cool is that? What a synchronicity that is. That this King of Cups has the ship coming in, and on the ship is something meant for the King of Cups that brings balance. Oops, I'm knocking cards off. That brings balance. So, there's more though. There's a whole bunch on the back here. So, here, you look at the card and I'm going to read it to you. Your prayers are now being answered and you are surrounded by spiritual protection. You can visualize this as white light radiating all around you. Trust that you are on the right path. Even if there are challenges, know you will find a way through, aided by the powerful love and light of your divine guardians. There is no need to be afraid. Trust how your path is unfolding. Even when it takes unexpected twists and turns, here is a sign of hope, light, and that an oppression is to be lifted from your soul so that joy, love, and happiness can return to your heart. Oh, wow, that's nice. That's really nice. I like that. Hope. That was a big one for Capricorn. Hope. When there is nothing else, you have hope, and no one can ever take hope. You're the only one that can take hope away from you, because that's an internal feeling and projection is hope. Oh no, I didn't even see that. There's a whole bunch of little houses on the hills. So yeah, not just for you, but for everyone. All the little houses in the hills there. I have to stand up again. I put the camera further away, so because I know people like to see this. You know, the little houses in the hills. So not just for you, but for everyone. Of course, well, yeah. The reading is for you right now, personally. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. There you go. There's our weekly reading from the Collective of Pixies. And they sure brought a lot of cards out today, didn't they? Yeah, they did. All right, guys, thank you so much for, every time you come by and every time you laugh at my silly little posts in the community section too. It's isolation, so I have to share things with somebody. So yeah, that's it. All right, have a great weekend, yeah? Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.